Good morning on day 3. I slept like a rock last night. Both have our coffee. We had our oatmeal or instant oatmeal breakfast, a thing of string cheese, a banana, coffee. Got to have coffee, and we're ready to hit the road this morning up to Prudhoe Bay, up to Deadhorse. It's kind of foggy. The fog's been rolling in and out, so we're kind of waiting for the fog to dissipate because we don't really want to drive on foggy roads with truckers, ice road truckers.
Where we're camping, there are tons of holes in the ground. In other words, we have ground squirrels. And they're actually, you can tell that people don't camp here a lot because they're not real aggressive. A lot of squirrels in campgrounds will be. So these guys are a bit timid, but if you sit quiet long enough, they actually come out and run around and pop up.
Yeah, they're Arctic ground squirrels, so they're super cute.
For those of you that are coffee connoisseurs and are wondering what kind of coffee and how did we make our coffee, it's my pour over. So I've converted Angie to the pour over method while we're on the road. So she has to do without espresso and go with the mediocre pour over coffee with powdered creamer.
It works. Yeah, we do have a Coleman stove, so I could be all fancy and bring my Bialetti and make espresso shots, and then I've got this other thing that runs off, that will steam milk off of a burner, but that's a lot of stuff to bring.
It is.
This is fine. Yeah.
So got to pare down and simplify. So
it was gorgeous this morning. We had this amazing sun halo in the fog that you took an awesome photo of. So we'll see you on the road.
if you enjoy a drive in the country, you would love this drive. Yes, there is the pipeline here and there, but it really doesn't take away, in my opinion, the beauty of this area, and I'm so glad we're doing this trip.
Oh, it's gorgeous, and I'm so glad we spent the night where we did last night and did this drive from Galbraith Lake to Prudhoe Bay this morning, because the weather was so much better than yesterday afternoon. It's sunny, epic views today, epic. What a gorgeous day. We're at a construction stop and we'll be for about half hour to 45 minutes, the guy just told us, which is great. There's a couple caribou over there just hanging out, and the temperature has dropped significantly. So now that we're so far north, it's actually 57 degrees, and we got used to that 80 something, and now it's a little cold. So there's the pipeline over there. It's just really gorgeous views.
Time to make lunch.
This is Rhonda cooking.
Hey, I'm a chef. It's called Tuna Creations. These are great because they travel well and they last quite a while. So as far as like having a meal on the run, having a little bread and this and some PB&J, and your lunches are pretty well set and it doesn't require any cooking. We always keep a few of these in the RV.
We made it to Deadhorse finally. 414 miles from the start and about 500 miles from Fairbanks.
Well, it didn't look good there for a while when we had a flat at about mile 70, so.
I know. I think we were both like, oh God, this road sucks. We will say the road is actually a lot better from Coldfoot north, which is kind of, we were afraid the road was going to be as bad as it was to Coldfoot all the way up, and it was actually a lot better.
And they actually are putting brand new pavement down here, so, you know, the closer you get to Deadhorse, the better the roads actually.
Yeah, which is weird because sometimes the pavement areas are worse because of the potholes in them. They're really jagged, and that's probably how we got our flat. Anyway, we're here. We're going to poke around. It's nothing special here. It's just an oil field. Like we've said, we can't go out to the Arctic Ocean, but that's okay. This trip has been freaking amazing. The drive itself was just gorgeous all the way around. We've met some really cool people, and we'll tell you about the folks that we just met. Yeah, this looks kind of weird, all these cords hanging down, and you might be wondering what this is. This is an extremely inhospitable environment. Here it is August. We've had 85 degrees everywhere else, and it's about mid-50s here and windy. I can't even imagine how cold it is in the winter. Minus 50, minus 60 is pretty much normal. Can get even colder than that with the wind chill. So these are plug-ins, and see on our truck here, we have a plug-in. It's got a cap, but we could plug our truck in if we were here in the winter time, and trust me, I will never be here in the winter time with our truck. But we have engine block heaters on our truck, and in this type of environment, you got to plug your vehicles in so that you can actually start them up. Otherwise, the oil is just hard as a rock in there at these temperatures. And in our quest to get coffee at the Aurora Hotel, it's not to be, because you have to show a COVID screening card, and they're pretty strict here, as they should be. So we're gonna head back south here in a minute. We've seen, we saw, we conquered, and it's really cool to be up here. But please keep watching, because we didn't do all the adventures we could do on this road trip. We skipped some stuff so we could do it on the way back.
Good morning, it's day 4, and we made it back to Galbraith Lake last night to camp here once again because we loved it so much.
I know, it is gorgeous. Another beautiful day. So we didn't really give you a lot of information about Deadhorse. We went and stayed maybe an hour and a half. Just kind of looked at the sights. And why would you even go there? What are the sights there? Well, one of them is the Arctic Ocean Shuttle, which of course we could not do. But the other one is wildlife watching. And honestly, that town, if you even want to call it that, is a sight to behold. in itself. So it was super interesting seeing how all the structures are built. Sometimes they're built on pilings or concrete slabs so that they don't melt the permafrost.
Some of them are actually movable. You see big, huge wheels underneath them and hydraulics, so they can jack them up and move them.
So it's pretty cool. So if you go, there's no formal RV parking up there. Tent camping is discouraged because of all the bears that usually run around town. We didn't see any, but the wildlife viewing was really off the chart. Tons of caribou right off. And I alluded to some folks we met at the general store. We did meet some hunters there, and yeah, so we're not hunters. I couldn't even bring myself to remotely be a hunter. So we witnessed some folks out there bow hunting, and by law they can bow hunt within 5 miles of the road. And if they want to use a gun, they have to go 5 miles, which is a long way to walk or hike over the tundra with the tussocks. I mean, it's ankle biters all the way around, and then try to haul something out.
I'm personally really glad because the hunters, if you can imagine them being right off the road firing guns, would not be fun for anybody driving down the road. So I'm glad for that part.
Yeah, we did witness while we were stopped at the construction zone a bow hunter with 3 different bows. He missed each time. I'm like, yeah, right on. But it was kind of horrifying and both horrifying and fascinating to watch all at the same time. Because I'll admit, I'm a hypocrite. If someone came up to me and said, hey, I've got some extra caribou, you want some? I'd be like, yeah, of course. But I can't bring myself to be the hunter myself. But it's definitely a way of life in Alaska. But despite the fact that we didn't get to do the Arctic Ocean shuttle, I would say that that I'm glad we still went. So if there's an impression of, oh, why go all the way up there if you can't go to the Arctic Ocean, the road trip was amazing. Absolutely stunning the whole way. Today is equally stunning. The weather's supposed to go bad tomorrow, and I think for us, and I know you agree, that if the trade-off was for us, if you schedule the Arctic Ocean shuttle, you're kind of on that schedule. You have to book at least 24 hours in advance, but you have to book much sooner than that because they fill up. And we talked to the gal that worked at the store. She says this summer has been crazy with tourists. I asked her, how's the tourist this summer? She's like, oh my God, it was beyond anything in years past. So last year was a non-starter with COVID, but years past.
Tourists and hunters. She said there was a lot more hunters too.
Yeah, so just a really crazy year all the way around, and she seemed a little exhausted.
We're doing this trip in 5 days. Originally we gave ourselves 6, and I think to do the Arctic shuttle, 5 would be a minimum. I mean, only because you have to go slow with all the potholes, and
people do it in less, like 4 days.
Definitely do it in less. Certainly the van people that are driving through here know the roads are going faster, but honestly, I saw vehicles with 2 spare tires on top. I know some people recommend that. We had one. We were glad we had one good spare. But we did have a flat fixer. If it came down to that, we could have done that. We mentioned getting a big rock chip. I mean, it is big. It's the biggest rock chip I've ever had. So you could expect that. So it's an expense on top of whatever else you might be spending for this. So just mentioning that. I mean, I've seen people say, oh, bring a rock chip repair kit. I'm like, we're not repairing that with a rock chip repair kit.
No, we have a windshield replacement.
And, yeah, I don't know that is as critical as it is making sure that you have a spare tire and know how to change it. I would say that's critical.
Yeah, so we're day 4. We could easily spend more time. We could have easily spent a whole day here doing some hiking around, but we're going to head back to Coldfoot, and on the way, we're going to hit Wiseman. Okay, poor sweetie did an awesome job. We were coming down Atigun Pass, and then of course we had a trucker right on our butt coming down. There's really nothing scarier than that. How are you doing, honey?
Well, I survived. You definitely get a little adrenaline.
Yeah. Oh my God, these truckers haul ass, and they haul ass downhill. I don't know how they can go so fast. It was pretty uncomfortable situation, but you handled it like a rock star. You just got to keep your cool. They'll slow down, they'll gear down, but it's pretty steep. So anyway,
It's that turn at the bottom of the hill.
yeah, there's definitely steep turns, and they're flying down like 55 miles an hour. And we're like, oh my God, I'm gonna take this corner and go woo, slide on out. All right, well, we survived Atigun Pass twice. Right on. Good job.
These are bone beads and taggerai.
Awesome, thanks. Hey, we are in Wiseman, Alaska. Population 11.
Full time.
Yeah, full time. The milepost says 18, but we just had the privilege of chatting with Nicole, who owns the Twisted Willow Gallery over there. So she makes all of her own jewelry out of animals that they've harvested. They live a total subsistence lifestyle and have an amazing garden out here. She said they're hoping to get how many pounds?
650 potatoes. 650 pounds of potatoes.
For the rest of the winter, and they have a root cellar. That's how they keep it for the rest of the winter. So pretty cool. Really small town, established in 1905, but its heyday was in 1910 when a lot of miners abandoned their efforts in Coldfoot and then came here instead. So it's still an active mining district, but really cool little town to walk around.
And there's a historic chapel right here.
Yeah, oh, is this the chapel?
Yep.
Oh, okay. And she said we should go see the chapel.
She said it was open all the time, so
Yeah.
don't miss it. It's really tiny.
And there's an airstrip down there with one airplane. It's her husband's airplane that doesn't work right now. By far the most interesting chapel I've ever seen. So the chapel, that road, and a mountain were all named for a much beloved native elder. And for places to stay in Wiseman, there is a couple of options. One is the Boreal Lodge, which is right here, and they've got a little gift shop in there. We walked in, but nobody was there. They're probably cleaning cabins. And then there's a couple other places too. One of them does allow dogs. It might be this one, and then the others do not. but it's a super cute little town, and we're gonna go walk around some more. Well, this town is so small, there's just a few really cool, unique things to do, and one of them is the Miners Museum. They've got some outdoor display of a lot of mining stuff. Well, both the milepost and Moose and Nicole all say this is a worthy stop in Wiseman. I just saw some what appeared to be fresh moose tracks. I'm not sure how far this footpath is to the cemetery, but we're gonna go check it out along this little tiny path. Check this out. Well, I think they must bring the bodies up here by four-wheeler. Definitely an old cemetery. A lot of the deaths are early 1900s.
Well, I do like walking around old cemeteries, mostly because I like to look at the headstones and see, because a lot of times they'll say like where they were from, how old they were when they died. If they were a World War I veteran, like there's one here. So it's really kind of interesting. It gives you a little bit another perspective on a small town.
Well, a very worthy stop is the Arctic Interagency Visitor Center. So this is a visitor center for the National Park Service, the Bureau of Land Management, Fish and Game, and probably a few others. So tons of land around here is BLM, and then the gates of the Arctic National Park is nearby, as long as the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge. So this is a great spot to stop on the way up. Unfortunately, we couldn't stop on the way north because they close at 8 o'clock. They have reduced hours because of staffing, and so we just couldn't really go in there and see much. I did get a little information, but I really only had about 30 minutes before they closed. So a good place to stop on your way north, so you can get tons of information from them, and they'll give you sheets on services and Coldfoot and Deadhorse and things to do along the way, and along with information on visiting gates of the Arctic National Park. And I believe they have some interpretive displays in there, which I'm going to go check out right now. Well, we've been pretty lucky so far on this trip about mosquitoes. I mean, we've had lots of mosquitoes, but not the mosquito hordes until night 4 of our trip. It's like 1:30 in the morning, and the mosquitoes keep getting in. I had my side window open and with the screen, but there's like a horde of mosquitoes on the screen, and I can still hear them. I just closed the window. Rhonda has her side open, but there's not hordes of mosquitoes on the outside. Anyway, they're getting inside here too, so I've killed about 10 mosquitoes so far. So yeah, weird, we got here and we sat outside and no mosquitoes at all, and all of a sudden in the middle of the night they decided that the mosquito hordes that we've so far avoided are going to make our last night of our trip memorable. So we'll be all tired and grumpy tomorrow, no sleep. Not to mention the guy that pulled up at 12:30, setting up his camp right next to us and talking to his dog the whole time. Yep. This is a weird campground too. It's a parking lot. Anyway, I'm looking for more mosquitoes. Nighty night. Packing up rather early, aren't we?
Yeah. Well, there's not much view here, and because of the camping environment, it's just not all that inviting to stay here. So we don't have far to Fairbanks. We're going to head that way, and if we find a really cool spot, we might stop to finish our coffee. So yeah, Not a pleasant night, but it's camping. It's always an adventure. You never know what you're going to get.
As Rhonda gets bit by a mosquito. So this campground is 5 Mile. Mosquitoes are starting to swarm us, so we're going to head on out. But this is called 5 Mile Campground, and it's just, we didn't know what to expect. We were going to head to Yukon Camp, and they've got a huge area. You can just park anywhere. But this area is just a big, huge parking lot, which is great. It's free. But we got a little spoiled at Galbraith Lake the last couple of nights. And then to come to a parking lot with people right next to you, it's like, wah. But it's all good. This is our last day to Fairbanks, and what a trip. The Dalton Highway sign again. We made it up to Deadhorse, Prudhoe Bay, and back down again. And thank you so much for watching this adventure with us. We totally lucked out on the weather, and that was part of our flexibility. We were able to sort of change our schedule to allow us to go up and back, mostly in good weather. We knew the weather was going to turn today, so we tried purposely to make this a little shorter drive day. We're really glad because we hit some really heavy fog and some of the higher elevations coming back down. But thank you again so much. This has been a road trip of a lifetime, and we were both so glad we did it despite some of the challenges we had along the way. And please join us for some of our next adventures.